the early stages, so what we have are a number of different ways to come up with ideas. We do operate globally. Excuse me, because we figure that if we know the natural resources industry, the value drivers of, a company in, in Europe or in China or in the U.S. for the underlying economics going to be driven by the same types of things, and we have our views on what makes a great producer, what makes a great service company, and those business models are going to work in whatever country. Plus, a lot of the natural resources companies are global themselves, so we operate globally. The way that we come up with ideas, number one, is that we do have an inventory of companies that we've looked at. And in natural resources, one of the big differentiators in natural resources are the people, because everybody's dealing with the same oil price. If you're an oil producer, everybody's dealing with the same oil price, and the thing that's going to make company A different from company B, part of it's the assets that they have, like what kind of assets they're starting with, but probably a bigger driver are the people and how they allocate capital. And so we have a database not only of companies, but more importantly of people, because people will move from one company to another and so on and so forth. So we have people that we like, and we know and we trust their capital allocation skills. We've seen them. We've been watching some of these companies and some of these people operate for 12 years, and going back to my days at Davis. And when one of those guys moves companies, then that company, I'm going to be getting the annuals and the 10Qs and everything else from that company and seeing what they have, see why, because this guy probably did the same thing. He knows what their assets are and everything else. So that's one way that I get ideas, is to follow the people, right? The other way that I get ideas is I just have a network of people that, these same people that I like the way they allocate capital. I mean, I know most of them personally. I've, covered their companies for a long time. We tend to think about business in a similar way. I think they get some ideas from me, and I get some ideas from them. It's the network of people that is one of the main ways that I get ideas, and refining ideas once I get them. Okay, so that's the second area. I don't do really screens on like Bloomberg screens or something like that. I mean, you've got some of these people that I think that do, and this is where some people get in trouble in natural resources too. When a quality company in a lot of different businesses is going to generate a really high ROE. And so when I look at a manufacturing company or some of the companies in other industries, I'll look at the ROE or the return on capital, and that's going to be a great, great companies are going to, with moats and all that kind of stuff, are generally going to be the high return on capital companies. In the oil and gas industry, that's not necessarily true, and we can get into why that's not necessarily true. But there's a lot of disinformation on the balance sheets and income statements of oil and gas companies. Disinformation meaning that the data that you get from those, it needs to be adjusted. If you don't do the adjustment, then you're going to get not a very good idea of the quality of the company. Because what number one is a lot in the industry. There's a lot of capital that's purged off the balance sheet, big write-downs, and so you're not seeing all. If you just look at a snapshot in one year, you're not really seeing all the capital that's been spent, because a lot of it's been purged off the balance sheet from a big write-down in a previous year. So things like that. There's dozens of things like that go on in the oil and gas industry, and in the natural resources industry in general. So you need to go more to dig into it more than just like looking at the ROE. So you can't just go to Bloomberg in a natural resources company and say, okay, give me the high return on equity companies, and those are the companies I'm going to look at. So that really doesn't work as well. What we do is look at, we belong to the manual of idea. We buy the manual of ideas. So, we'll go through that, and we'll look at, that's a really great way to look at dozens of companies, just flipping through and seeing which ones are in our industries, and reading a quick analysis to see if it warrants us digging into it more. We go through Value Line. I flip through every issue of Value Line. When it comes out, I get the hard copy and flip through it, and every once in a while I get an energy idea there. And that's pretty much how I come up with ideas. Most of it in natural resources is from either networking or from this database of the people and the companies that we've looked at in the past. Yeah.